All right, well, Dan, thanks for your time. We'll crack straight on. Now, as Jan's coach, I'd love to know a little bit of the background of how long you've been working together and how that relationship came about in the first place.
So now we are in our, I think, our 10th season. Yeah, exactly. Or nine. Yeah, our ninth season. So we start at the end of 2012, beginning 2013. And that was the moment where I got under 23 national coach in triathlon in Germany. And at the training base in Germany in Saarbrücken, Jan also lived at that time. And he was looking for a change in training. And he basically, I met him the first time at the swimming pool for a swim session. And I always love to tell that story because it's still in my head. So he came there and he was sick and he just wanted to enter the pool. And I basically say to him, Jan, it's not a good idea. Better you go home and recover and then you come back when you're healthy again. And this small talk, I think, gave him a little bit a confirmation to say, okay, this guy just tells me what he thinks, and not because I'm Jan Frodeno, but he wants to have the best for me. And 2 days later, he came to my office in the evening at the training space in Saarbrücken and asked me if I could imagine to be his coach. And but he wants to win Kona. And I say, okay, we will do this 2015. And that was basically, I just said it like that. And that was our start. And when he left the door at that evening, I also had to breathe a little bit in and out and think about what I just said some minutes ago. And but from there we start.
Wow, and you reach your goal. That's a pretty strong goal to have to then achieve it so accurately. Did either of you have to adapt your sort of plans? Like obviously Jan was used to being coached by someone else. You weren't used to coaching him. Did either of you have to make many changes in the way you went about your relationship and Jan as an athlete and you as a coach?
So first of all, what he did in the past. So generally, I'm not looking so much what an athlete did in the past. For sure, you look at the workload. You look what the body already had, some kind of injuries, or what are some strong and some weak points. But we started really from scratch and thought about, okay, what can we do to have still one other season on the short course and then make the transition from middle distance to long distance. That was the plan. And we also start to work on a daily basis. So I saw him every day because he was still living in Saarbrücken, but already there he had the rhythm that in the winter he was in Australia and then in the summer in Germany. So there we started already to work on this remote relationship, but still there were sessions and for sure also competitions where we have been together. And this then changes when Jan moved to Girona and when he was completely on a long distance course, because long distance is not supported by the federation. So from there on, he started to be on his own. And we just see us several times during a year for some days, for some trainings, or perhaps at the competition. And the rest of our relation is really based on online communication. And at some point, I also asked Jan if this is good for him, and perhaps he can have another coach who can be with him the whole time and living in Girona. And but he said for himself, he also sees a lot of benefit because the only thing to judge what he's doing in training are the data, for sure also what he's telling, but the data, and this is quite objective. And he liked to have objective opinions and not just, because you feel with him and you want to take him out of the pain or whatever. No, you want to have an objective judgment on his training. And that's how he turned a little bit this disadvantage to have not the coach there, perhaps in an advantage for himself. And we realized a lot of years like that, and we found our way to work together.
And how would you describe your coaching philosophy? Are you very much about the numbers? What's your overall philosophy?
I don't know if it's a philosophy. It's about looking where we are. So looking at the physiology of the athlete, where are his strength points, what do we have to to do better, and what are our goals. So you have for example, you have a metabolic profile, and okay, if you want to win a long distance triathlon, you need to have a certain profile, and how do I get from A to B? That's a little bit. Then after that I think about the training methods. So how can we get there? Then you also have to consider how is an athlete responding to to your training, because perhaps you think doing 4 weeks of this training will lead to an improvement in certain domains, but in the end you see perhaps that the body is responding in a different way. So that's why I would not say I have a philosophy. If philosophy for me is like I want to work consistently, so it's better for me to work consistently over a long time as to have these high peaks in training volume or intensity at certain points. For me also, it's really important that the athlete know what it means to be a high performance athlete. So it's not always fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of not only work in the training, but also the work around. So to recover well, to have an environment that supports him well. So that we all have, or that we both have the same understanding of what it means to do high performance sport. And then also to see the athlete in the center. So athlete center, coach driven, performance oriented is always what I want to mention when somebody asks me how are you working. I didn't invent this, but I think it's a nice summary about how I want to work with athletes.
Were there any kind of areas that you tried, any angles you tried in coaching that just didn't work with Jan, that you both went like, let's try this, in that 9 years of training, of coaching him? Is there anything that didn't work for him as an athlete in particular?
What didn't work was there was a time where I think it was after his first win or his second of Kona. He came to me and said, yeah, did you saw this athlete is doing this training and doing long kind of intervals, doing long race pacing intervals, for example, and perhaps we should also go in that direction and try that. And yeah, I always listen to my athletes and try to understand what they think, and they have a lot of time good ideas, and then we have to bring them into perspective and how can you bring this into a general plan. But from that idea I was not so convinced. But yeah, on the other side, I also don't know, I'm not knowing everything. So I said, okay, let's give it a try. And then we changed the training a little bit in the direction that Jan felt it would be good for him, or he thought it would be a good direction. And that was, I think, our worst year. So there we didn't get the result what we expected, even by putting a lot of work. So he trained a lot at that time, but it just didn't have the effect what we wanted to have. And also we have been successful in some competitions, but the performance itself was not. We saw that, okay, we have just luck that somebody else was not stronger, but it was not because he was at a new level. And from there on, we switched again, and Jan say, okay, you tell me what to do, and then we go from there. And but still, it's a really close communication. So we talk about sessions, and for sure there are some adjustments, but we do not talk to adjust the main principles. So what I have in the training. So that's something we don't discuss. We just discuss about details, or perhaps doing a session the other day because on one day you don't feel so well. So it's the normal coach or athlete coach talk, but not like, okay, we have now to do long intervals because I think it's good. So that was a little bit what didn't work. And also when you come back to what Jan was looking for, he was looking for a coach who tells him or who supports him in what he's doing. You don't have to motivate him. So it's not your job as a coach to motivate Jan. It's better to calm him down or to keep him back. And so he was looking for somebody who helps him really in this performance topic, science topic, and to bring him forward there.
And you've worked together this long, and Jan is, I think he wouldn't mind me saying, coming towards the end or the latter stages of his career. Are you still as hands-on with the coaching, or do you give him a bit more free rein? Does he want a bit more free rein now he knows, what works well for him, and what you would, I guess, what would you would, what's the word, prescribe him?
In general, I would say not so much changed. for sure, if we have the beginning of the season, there is a lot of space. And if we talk about the concept, so it gets more and more strict the closer we come to competition. And even without telling him this, it's like how he is. So if he comes closer to his goals, he gets more and more focus on the details. So he wants guidance. He wants to have the sessions really described perfectly with all the information what is needed. And so basically that didn't change over the years, I would say. No, it's really like he still follows the session as he did years ago, and he comes with ideas. Can we do, I don't know, ski touring, for example, and then we think about, but then also there he asked about, okay, what should be the heart rate and in which, where should I go? It's not about, oh, I know everything, I go on feeling. The only thing where he has experience or where I trust him, and it's also not possible in the other way, if he has a sickness or an injury, the way back. So I prescribe it to him, but he is there on a daily basis, and he knows it from experience what is good and what is not so good for him. And it's on the plan, but if he's doing, for example, 10 minutes more, he is doing it because he feels it's possible and not because it's really needed. And so there he has for sure the freedom also together with his physiotherapist on place to adapt the process, because that is quite hard to do it on remote.
Yeah, no, I get that totally. And you've worked together this long. There's not that much, if you look from the outside, that Jan can improve. What do you two focus on now? Where are the areas of improvement that you're focusing on for this season and beyond?
Mm-hmm. So basically, over all the years, we always try that Jan stays a complete triathlete, so that he's a strong swimmer, biker, and runner. And for sure, depending a little bit on the period of the year, you make a focus perhaps more on the bike, more on the run, or sometimes injury related, you have to switch. But if everything is normal, we really train him as a triathlete. So it's not to say, okay, we want to improve now significantly the run or the bike. What we see now with the development, we see how important this overall performance is, and also the run gets more and more important, it seems. So for sure, we try to keep an eye on that and look what is possible. But one thing is to know where you have to go, but the other thing is you also have your limits. So just not by knowing that you have to run these and these times, you cannot just say, okay, we go there. So you still have to follow the process, and and in a race also the race dynamics can also play a major role here. Perhaps you put everything on the run and the race dynamic is completely different. That's why we want that he has several options in the race to react, because also that is a topic when we talk about tactics. There he is also free. So we talk about different options. So what could be a tactic? Or he asked me, where do you think could be a point to attack, or where should I, with how many watts should I go or whatnot? But he takes the decision what he will do in the race, because there he has experience and he knows his body. And we both stand behind the decision. So it's not after the race that he would say, or I would say, yeah, but why did you do this? Why did you do that? No, he is the high performance athlete with all that success. It's not, he won this title, so he knows what to do, and he can also do mistakes, but we do them then together. And I think that's really a nice way to work here.
Yeah, it sounds a very mutual relationship. How much more does Jan have to give? How much more can we see from his performance, do you think?
That's a good question.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, so I would say when Jan is healthy and when he can train what is necessary to, he can still win the big races. I think he's still able to do this. For sure, there are now more and more athletes, so the performance densities is higher. So there are more and more good athletes, also athletes coming from the short courses, and he's still, I would say, he's still a champion. But I don't want to say here now he can break some new performances or records or whatever. He's still he still has the possibility to win these races, I would say. And that's everything what counts. If you ask him what he wants to do, is to win races. And as long as he feels that this is possible, for sure he will also continue. And if there's the point that he sees, okay, from here on it gets hard because of, I don't know, just biological processes or whatever, I think then it's also the point to say, okay, that was a good time.
And how do you know when Jan's ready to race? What signs do you look for? Or when he's ready to race well?
So Jan isn't doing so much racing, so that's why we plan them quite at the beginning of the year. And if not an injury comes into the way, then he was nearly always ready to race when we planned it. Because if you just have, let me say, 5 races a year, it's not so much, but he was always ready. If not, there was a sickness or an illness or whatever. But if he can follow the process, follow our training programs, if he's just doing this, he will be ready on race day. So just by seeing that he's able to do the sessions on the level what we think is necessary, then we know, okay, he's ready to go. And on the way, for sure, there could happen something. He had some bike crashes or some injuries. For sure, then you have to restart the process, because then the whole planning has to be. So you have to rethink the whole planning and see, okay, and looking, okay, first priority is always to go to win the big races, and then you go to B and C.
Cool. Last couple of questions. Just looking a little bit at Christian and the Norwegian strategy and Olav's coaching. What are your thoughts on that? And are you coming from the same camp, do you think, in the coaching aspect, from what you see, the way the Norwegians are working?
So I think the Norwegians, what they are doing, first of all, it's a lot of respect from my side how they are working. They are working really, really scientifically. Everybody's 100% committed, not just in that they want to do it, but also the time committed. So if you look at, I don't know if it's Olaf or the support staff, how much days they are away, how much days they are with the athletes. So their whole commitment, also from their families, it's really huge, and over years, over a long period where they build it up. And they work scientifically. They focus really everything on these athletes. And I think they just brought the scientific approach in triathlon a little bit to a new level. Sometimes it's not that others are not able to do it, but to bring it together. So to really bring it together every day, like they always publish it when they make lactate measurements or whatever. They do this every day. They're not just doing one camp and we're doing some lactate measurements. No, we do this every day, and we live this every day. And every day we think about how we can get better. That is something. And so the success is just the outcome of really hard work. And because I know Olaf quite well, I know how much work is inside. And that's why also they deserve what they are doing. If it's sustainable or not, we have to see, but they raised the bar, and it's a big motivation for everybody around. The only thing what I want to mention is makes no sense to copy. Makes no sense to copy them, because you need the persons also to do this. If you want to live in Sierra Nevada, for example, for 6 weeks, you cannot do this with every athlete. And then to do this several times during the year, it's not possible with every athlete, also not possible with every staff. So that's why I think everybody has to create his own performance environment, create his own methodology. But the Norwegian shows that science at least, or science-based training can create medals. And but also there, I think it's not only the science. You also need both. You need science, you need experience, you need body feeling, you need committed athletes. So you need a whole package of things to be successful in the end.
Yeah, 100%. Right, my final question, which is really putting you on the spot. We've got Ironman St. George, the World Championships in St. George coming up. What are your predictions of how the race is going to pan out, looking just at Jan and Christian? Who do you think is going to come out on top, and where is that race going to be won?
As the coach of Jan, I think it makes no big sense to underrate him or whatever. I would just say we try everything to bring him 100% at the start line, and if this is the case, then we will see a big fight, not only between Jan and Christian. I think they are minimum 5, 6, if not even more athletes who will fight for the win there. And I see it as a coach perspective. I see this as the first battle, and then the second one. Hopefully, we have it in Kona. So that's a little bit how I see it for sure. That these are 2 world championships. They are really important. Perhaps you even have a more stuck field in St. George, but when we look at the history, also as young history, we see it really like, okay, the first battle with all these new young guys, and then see where we are, and then getting the second one in Kona for the big showdown.
Very diplomatic answer. I like it. Thank you. Oh, are you okay? Did you lose me then?
Yeah, I just lose you for 10 seconds, I think.
Okay, I had you, so that's fine. I was just saying a very diplomatic answer, but I understand that as Jan's coach. Well, at GTN, we wish you and Jan the best of luck for both those World Championships, and we'll be following closely. Thank you so much, Dan.
Yeah, thank you very much for the interview.